Hi, everybody. This is Joanne Eisen with Reach the Unlimited. I said I was going to come back on today, and I did. Thank you, all of you that listened to and watched the live this morning. It was really my heartfelt moment to tell everybody, we have to take care of ourselves. So I want to welcome Anna back to our show. We had talked about doing a monthly show about technology and different ways to use it or whatnot. And as I said earlier, and Anna and I have talked about it, that this is a time for something a little different. So we are going to continue with doing a monthly show on technology and different ways to use it and whatnot. But today we wanted to talk a little bit about kind of going on the backside of what I talked about this morning. But first, I want to welcome you, Anna. Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
It's so much fun. You have an amazing audience, and it's so much fun to just talk to you and share what's going on with everyone.
Yeah, we were chatting before we went live, and you are feeling the same thing that I talked about this morning, and that the people I've talked to this week about, we do need to be positive. We need to, what we think we create, but we also know that if we're not expressing and passing these emotions through our body, that it's going to stop somewhere.
Yes, definitely. And that's the thing with this process, with this little bug going around everywhere. I've mentioned it before. It's been so powerful because it has brought on the best and the worst of all of us in many ways. It, regardless of its origin or what it is in itself, it has broke so many rules. It has broke so many conceptions that we had of ourselves, of the world, of business, of economics, of communications, of so many things. And one of those things is that it has made us feel emotions that sometimes we don't want to feel. We're seeing sadness in the world, we're seeing devastation, because that's really it. It's beyond sadness. We're seeing a lot of communities that are broken, that are disengaged. We are seeing families that are torn apart, not because of a real rupture, but it's just the fact of living across the country or across the world, where even though we have these amazing tools that are beautiful, it's still not the same as being able to go and visit, right? It's not the same as a hug. It's not the same as the actual presence of a human being with you. And especially, I want to make a special reference for people who are by themselves in isolation, because it's a totally different experience to have your partner, your roommate, your family with you, which in itself is a big brother effect with very interesting things coming out of it. But it's also a very, very challenging time for especially the elderly that live on their own and have to cope with a different reality, and now struggling with technology to try to stay connected. And it's like this bomb of reality that we just got thrown on ourselves. So we need to acknowledge that it's hard. We were trying to make the best out of it, and that is what we should do with this. But we need to acknowledge first and foremost that we're afraid of the uncertainty, we're frustrated with the uncertainty, we're confused about what our role should be aside from staying home, right? Which is the best and biggest and most clear and more important thing that we can do right now. But aside from that, there's a lot of people who really don't know what their role is, aside from trying to stay positive and trying to do these things. And I think that one of the roles that we all have to step up to is feeling the feelings. It's feeling sadness for those who are losing their lives. It's feeling grieving, really, that
It
process.
is,
It,
definitely.
it is a process of grief. And
I
we
think
need
all of
to.
us, in interjecting here, I think all of us are going through our form of grieving because
Yes.
we're all losing so much of what we thought was the past, and it's not our future
Yes.
anymore. And
No,
that's
definitely.
part of our grieving as well. And we have to be okay with that. It's the one thing that, and I interrupted you, and I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but
No,
it's
no,
so
no. It's good.
important to realize that it's okay to feel all of these feelings. And so many that I see and that I've talked to are feeling like, no, they have to be up. They have to be positive. They have to. I have a really good friend she's just a social butterfly. And hi, Susan and Sharon. I want the rest of the Sharons on. But but it's hard for her because she's always looked at as a person to
Mhm.
stay positive and to stay up and to keep everybody up. And she wasn't
Yes.
feeling that way.
That is something very, very crucial. And I want to,
Mhm.
especially in this case, talk about leaders of any kind,
Yeah.
community leaders,
Mhm.
family leaders,
Mhm.
who know that their role is to be the strong one, to be the one in
Right.
charge, to be the one that's okay or that
Mhm.
has the answers. I want to
Mhm.
tell you guys, take a break.
Yes.
Take a break. I've talked about this in other groups. I've
Mhm.
actually told people we need to give ourselves like 10 minutes to break down,
Mhm.
to really go into WTF mode and what is this going on, right? And to give ourselves a chance to yell and be angry and be sad and be
Right.
frustrated and wrap up that energy that needs to
Mhm.
be felt. That's what I mean when I also say that this little guy, this little bug, is bringing out all these things. Because yes, we have had a long time, especially in the mindfulness and wellness
Mhm.
community, where
Mhm.
we're doing this happy-go-lucky. You have to smile all the
Yeah.
time. If you're not smiling, what's wrong with you? And
Yes.
that's not it. I mean, yes, we strive for balance and for peace and
Mhm.
for happiness, but we also have to acknowledge that there's a whole range of emotions that needs to be felt.
And I really want to stick on that because you're right, because we are big believers in what we think we create.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
the
mhm.
universe hears what we are feeling and what our desires are. And
Yes,
I think the universe knows that our desires are that everybody be healthy and strong and taken care of.
yes,
But we're still human beings that have these emotions. And that's where we can tend to get out of balance because we know that we're thinking positive, that we're going to get back to some sense of normalcy, some sense of being able to live our life in a way that is safe
yes.
and productive and that we're taken care of.
Mhm.
But we also have in our humanness that fear of what's happening, that overwhelm of what's going to be next. How are we going to get out of this? How long will it take us to get out of this? We don't
Yes.
have the answers to that, and so we have to be okay.
Yes, and it's also very important for people who actually need to go out or have to go
Mhm.
out. I've had to do it myself when I
Mhm.
have to go out for bank errands or just
Right.
get groceries or get something because I'm the go-to person in my house.
Mhm.
It is so hard to go to the outside. I mean,
Yes.
it's a total effect to be safeguarded and not being able to go out of your house or apartment or whatever.
Mhm.
But going out, it's also a totally different experience.
Mhm.
Going shopping, going to the grocery store, having the habit of the disinfecting your hands and your products when you get home and when you get them at the door or
Mhm.
whatever it is, it's a totally different routine. It
Mhm.
does make it does something to your energy, to your mind, to your
Mhm.
soul that makes you feel like you lost something. And it's that grieving part. It's that
Mhm.
grieving your normality, grieving your naturality and being able to do things in a certain way.
Right.
And it is a different process. It does bring you, it has a different energy as well, because people who are living that, talking about people in the grocery markets and
Mhm.
shops all over the
Mhm.
place,
Mhm.
who are having to leave the safety of their home,
Yeah.
not because they want to, but because they actually have to, and they're providing a totally different service for
Mhm.
us,
Mhm.
and they're trying to stay healthy as well, just like the health workers. There's a whole chain of supply to keep all of us alive and eating and checked
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
and the streets clean and all these things that we really need to acknowledge that their energy is also there. And
Yeah.
when we go outside of the house, we also get a little bit of that exchange, right? We get a
Mhm.
little bit of their energy and their fear and their sadness. Um, and we have to know how to cope with that. We need to acknowledge that we're feeling it. We need to acknowledge that we're not immune to it because we're in
Right.
our homes.
Right.
It's the collective, and
It
the
is.
collective is disturbed.
It is. And we feel it and we have to remember that. It's
Mhm,
not
mhm.
like this isn't a conversation about, oh, poor us, and we need to sit in our misery and go through our
No.
suffering. That's not the conversation. This conversation is about the reality that we're living in, the way that we're reacting to it because we are part of the collective, so we're feeling the collective.
Yes.
What are the ways that we could come out of this to become positive? Because we're going to have moments in one day, even moments at a
Yes.
time, where we're going to feel like, Like this morning, I was laying in bed, and this doesn't happen to me often, but sometimes it does. Today was one of those days where
Yeah.
I'm, oh, I'm just going to put the covers over my head. I'm not going to get up.
Yes.
I don't want to deal with the day.
Yes.
But you get up, you get dressed, you start your day, and you're going to have your highs and your lows. And
Hmm.
that's the thing that we have to be okay with and give ourselves permission to go through those highs and those lows.
Yes, and I think one of the biggest tools to go through that is to be very honest about it with the people
Yeah.
around us and
Mhm.
to talk about it. I
Mhm.
know that especially men are struggling a lot with this.
Yeah.
All the men staying at home that are used to going outside and provide for their families,
Mhm.
many of them unemployed. It's
Mhm.
a very, very tough spot for men to be in. And I know that we need to open up the space for them to be vulnerable, for
It's
them to say, I am feeling this. I'm not just cranky because I'm at home and I'm dealing with my family. I'm cranky because I'm not being able to provide
right.
for my family because I feel this, because I think
Right.
this, because I'm
Right.
worried about this. I think we need, that's one of the lessons and the tools that we're getting from this experience, that we can talk about what we're feeling and what we're going through. And that in itself is a great opportunity for growth, for communication, for
Mhm.
relationship building.
Yeah.
Um, but also for self development. I
Mm.
think we need to be honest about what we're feeling before we share it and as we share it. And that turns the experience totally around because it can't be that depressing side of, oh, we're all
Mhm.
suffering. But I think it goes totally in the other direction when we do this honestly. When we're
Right.
doing this vulnerable sharing, we actually say, hey, you too.
Yes.
So, so I'm not going nuts. So we can both go
Exactly.
nuts together, right?
Exactly.
And you get a chance to have more humor and to have
Right.
more stories and to have more
Right.
connection and not just dwell in your misery, which is definitely not the way to go.
Because we can. I mean, I've talked to so many people that were afraid to voice that they were feeling this way because they were going to, and both of us mentioned it. You just mentioned it, and I did this morning. And it was really in my meditation this morning about being a strong leader in your way, in your environment.
Yes.
Because if we can be vulnerable to what is going on and
Hmm.
how we're feeling and how we're feeling of
Hmm.
the collective and how it's going on, then that opens the gates to other people to be able to express that. And I know yesterday I
Yes.
had the experience where, we're all good at this messaging and texting and Zooming and all these other things, but a lot of us are doing a lot more texting and messaging. And finally, I was like, nope, this is not the time to text. I'm going to call. We need to have a voice to voice conversation about what is
Yes.
happening because I could tell that there was angst in that
Something
person.
else. Hmm.
I'm feeling the angst. I'm leaving her a message and I'm about ready to cry. She calls me and she's about ready to cry. And it's like, those are the moments that we have to
Yes.
come out of our comfort zone, come out of our little boxes, and reach out and hold somebody else's hand. And they're holding our hand to get through how we're feeling about this.
And I think that's one of the big callings for all of us
Mm.
throughout this experience. I know I've done it myself. I'm way more in touch with my friends now than I was before. I've been messaging people that I usually assume are doing okay, right? That's just my basic premise. They're okay. If they haven't messaged me, then they're doing okay. They don't need me right now. And
Right,
we are so wrong. We
right,
are so very wrong. Everybody has something that they're going through right now. So if you care about them, just message and say, "Hey, how's your side of the world?
right.
What are things like for you? Listen to what's going on. Be honest in the sharing.
Mhm.
Again, if we're just all peachy and everything's good and I'm so happy and don't worry about me, no. If you're feeling like you're in the worst place right now, ask for someone to pray for you, to give you
Yeah,
energy, to do some Reiki work.
yeah.
Whatever it is that you feel you need, ask
Mhm.
for it. It's really worth it. And again, for leaders, we have to be honest about it. We have to
Yeah. Mhm.
show people that we're vulnerable too, because that was one of the things that there has been a lot of talk, right, about the toxic masculine and the new feminine energy.
Mhm.
And a couple of years ago, I wrote a blog post about precisely why leaders need to embrace more of the feminine energy of being vulnerable.
Mhm.
I called it something like there is crying in business.
Yes.
Like that movie that Tom Hanks line, "There's no crying in baseball." Well,
Yes.
there is crying in business, and
There
there needs to
mhm,
be that vulnerability. And
mhm,
I think one of the things that would be interesting is for the big business leaders, the big gurus that are
mhm,
making all these millions to show their vulnerability and
mhm,
say, "I'm sad because my business isn't running. I'm
mhm,
sad because all my employees are not
mhm,
doing what we love."
mhm.
If they start embracing that side, I think we can have a really interesting shift in
Yes.
what we view leadership to be. And we've seen it with New Zealand's prime minister, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Her ability to talk about we're going through a hard time and
mhm,
we're feeling sad. Even
mhm.
Queen Elizabeth, in her recent address, she
Yeah.
said it. We're
Mm,
feeling this.
mhm,
And that acknowledgement of
mhm.
feelings just by itself
Yeah.
is so powerful. It connects you to everybody else around you, regardless of where they are.
And that's important for all of us to really embrace. I think that
Mhm.
is the message today that I really felt it was so heavy on my heart is to it's okay if you're enjoying a moment. It is
Yes.
okay even if the rest of the world is suffering
That
right now.
too. Yes.
We can't go to one extreme or the other extreme. Like now
Yes.
we have to be so solitude. I'm always afraid to say something that's way too positive because it may look like I'm taking things too lightly, but we're not. We're going to experience all those emotions. Quite
We
frankly,
are living life.
half hour ago, I had an amazing FaceTime with my granddaughter, which I talk about a lot, and I enjoy that. It brings joy to my day, and
And
that's
that,
what we have
yeah, that is incredibly true. And I think we again go back to balance, right?
right
We
now.
cannot be all the way on one side or the other. And
Mm-hmm.
the same goes, you were talking about having to take some time off of
Hmm.
social media or technology or whatever. Yes, we had talked before, last time I was talking to you, about how we need to balance out our involvement with technology, right? We need to have a healthy relationship with technology, and that still applies right now because
Yes.
our health is being affected by technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not only by the EMF and all this magnetic stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
also because there comes a time where we're over engaging with information
Yes.
and over engaging and overstimulating ourselves with
Mhm.
TikToks and all these things. I don't know how many people I've seen that have jumped up on the TikTok wagon in the past week, which is not a judgment.
Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
fun. It's a fun
Mhm.
space,
Mhm.
but we do need to prioritize, right?
Yeah.
So, what is the biggest technology priority right now? Connection. To be able to use the tools
Yeah.
that we have to stay connected with
Mhm.
our loved ones, with the
Mhm.
world, to know about the official measures and all these things, and to connect with people that we're doing business with, maybe.
Right, right.
Right?
Mhm.
So, or our communities, our spiritual development communities, those are the priorities to connect with people, but in
Mhm.
the truest, most honest, most
Yes.
deepest way that we can find.
'Cause I've seen a lot of people in the business industry that are trying to connect with people,
Mhm.
but they're not being genuine
No,
because they're trying to make money, and I get that. We're all trying to make
no.
money in this society. I understand that. But in this particular time, people need people to care about people.
Yes, that is the main concern right now. It's really keeping up with relationships and mental health.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
the top-notch priority right now, right?
Right. It really
Uh, and then from that, you can go anywhere else, right? You can do for leisure.
Mhm.
How many hours are you spending watching Netflix and all these things?
Yeah.
Try to really be mindful of the
Right.
time that you're devoting to devices.
Mhm.
And when we say devices, it's all of them. Because
All
sometimes we cheat. We're like, I'm not using the computer, but I'm on the phone. I'm not using my phone, but I'm on my iPad. And we keep going from one to the other, but we say we're not on the computer. And
right.
yes, technically we're not, but it's the same thing. And our minds and our bodies need the quiet
Mhm.
time.
Yes.
uh, we
Yeah.
need to unwind, and that's another one of the things that this whole situation is showing us. We need to be okay with being not okay, first off,
Mhm.
and we need to be okay with being with the silence and with ourselves and with
Yes.
our space.
Right. And that's important in what I talked about this morning because it's like any other time in life when we can get preoccupied in avoidance of things that we don't want to really face. And this is a
Yes.
good example during
Yes.
this time because people are all they're doing is watching things on any kind of media they can, watch something off of, keeping their minds very busy. But that's not the purpose of really what's going on now and how important it is for you to heal within and to heal your whole body. And this is a good
Yes.
time for us. And that's why the quiet is very important. This is our time. What other time in history has our society been forced to shut down? And yet still we manage to not shut down. Still we're managing to
Yes.
be extremely busy.
Yes, and I think there's a lot in that quiet time that we need to be open to,
Mhm,
because yes, right now our go-to goal is stay at home to reduce the
mhm,
number of infections of viruses being shared and whatnot. So we're staying home. Yes, that's the first one. But
mhm.
we we do need to start thinking about the future, even if we don't know what it looks like.
Right.
We need to notice how we got here.
Yeah.
How was it that we got here over not prioritizing health for everyone,
Mhm.
making other things a priority all over the world? Because it doesn't matter what regime or what politics is going on in your country or your region,
Right.
whatever it is, we all were shocked with the same wave in different ranges, in different places, at different times. But there was something in common. There were so many things that were not done that could have been done.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Because I guess China didn't see it coming, even though they should have,
Yep.
because of all the practices that they've had, the
Mhm,
lack of
mhm.
sanitation, the lack of all these things. But we all had a chance to start preparing for it. Everybody else, as soon as we were familiar with what it was about, the countries, the governments, the companies, the businesses, the economies had a chance to see, hey, this is coming.
You're right.
And the leaders and the biggest corporations had a choice
Mhm,
into what they did,
mhm,
whether it was travel, whether it
mhm,
was medicine, whether it was medical equipment,
mhm,
whatever it was, they had a chance and a choice.
mhm.
And they made it for them and for us.
Exactly.
And then when people were started to be mandated to stay home, we have a choice, right?
We do, yeah.
And we had a choice and we had a chance to do it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. And I feel like, part of in our society, because we are so bombarded with so many different energies that
Mhm.
cause us to come
Mhm.
going without ourselves instead of
Mhm.
going within ourselves.
Within.
And sometimes it can be really scary to go within
Mhm.
and be
Mhm.
able to sit in our quiet and be
Mhm.
afraid of what's going to come out. And I would really like to encourage people to it's not going to kill you. It's only going to make you stronger. And if you could just go through that process of being in that space and
Mhm.
allowing your true self to come out, what a
Yes.
glorious gift that we come from the other side of understanding who we actually are and what we're actually here for. And if anything else can come out of this situation, that is the biggest gift that we can give to the world is knowing who we are and what we're actually here to give. And what our joys and our passions are to be able to share with the people that are around us.
And I think a lot of people are waking up to that, right? All the acts of kindness and generosity and humor that we're putting into our daily living.
Mhm.
I think we need to cling to those. I
Yeah.
think we need to make those a habit.
Mhm.
I think the checking on friends and
Yeah.
making the call instead of the message, that
Mhm.
is one of those things that we need to cling on to. Those are the habits that will
Mhm.
help us build whatever the future looks
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
We don't know the certainty of that, but we can
Right.
have some certainty of who we want to be there, right?
Exactly.
Do
Mhm.
we want to be the solidary looking for the higher good, or do
Mhm.
we want to be the ones that just think about themselves and forget about everyone else? When now we know we can't.
No, we
We
can't.
physically cannot forget that there's a whole bunch of other people out there.
And how we affect each other. This is, you mentioned that, and you're very welcome, Marsha. I will hold your hand any day, anytime, absolutely, hands down. You bring out a good point because this pandemic is really showing us how the universal consciousness really works. I never even paid attention to that until you said that.
Mhm.
This is a definite correlation to how everything that we do affects other people.
It is incredible, and again, I don't know the details of the virus on the technical side.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna go there, but
Hmm.
I do know what it's doing to us, and I
Yeah.
do know the awakening that it's giving us of a reality that it's
Hmm.
not that it's new, that we're connected and that we rely on each other, and that our health should come first, and that people
Mhm.
should come first. That is not news,
No, it's not.
but this time we can't walk away from it. None
And
of
we're
us.
actually seeing how by us doing our own little thing, by staying in isolation, by quarantining ourselves, how we are systematically changing the way this virus is going around the world,
And
which is
how what one person does or doesn't
yeah,
do
right.
really makes a huge difference.
Yes, it really does. So think about that when you're thinking about the universal consciousness
Yes.
and when we're not really doing what is in best alignment for the good of all, or when we're just, not really caring about what it is we're doing or how it's affecting other people. It's
Yes.
definitely, and it's like a group of us were talking yesterday about how we feel each other's ups and downs and pains
Yes.
and angst. And I think that this is also a time where more and more people are understanding and feeling, why am I feeling this heaviness? Why am
Mhm,
I feeling this depression? Why am I feeling like I can't handle what's happening to the world? It's because we're all universally feeling
mhm,
the consciousness of the whole. And this is the first time
mhm.
a lot of people are stopping to say, wow, this is really big.
It's the first time, and in that sense, it's a very exciting time for all
Yeah.
of us
Mhm.
because it's the first time that we actually can show people what it looks like,
Yes.
right? We've been talking about this for years, the universal consciousness, we're all connected. Yeah, if you sneeze, they're all gonna get sick. That's easy. You can see it, even though it's invisible still. But
Yeah,
but it's just so tangible. It's not
it is.
surreal, it's not ethereal, it's not just energy. Yes, it's energy, but it's so much more than that. And we're
Yeah.
seeing it. I'm so happy to see so many businesses react to it
Mhm,
as well
mhm.
and saying, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm doing whatever helps people, right?
Right.
So people that are converting their industrial processes to do the
Mhm,
alcohol and to do the
mhm.
masks and to do the ventilators and to do all these things. And you see how you can be creative, you can be
Yes.
resourceful, you can
Mhm,
supply what is being demanded at the time. So you
mhm,
can have
mhm.
economics and you can have soul. You can have a
Yeah,
business and do something that's good at the time for people. It's not,
exactly.
again, going back to this idea of we're all good. No, we can all step up. That's the difference.
We can. I'm just so taken by all these people that are sewing masks for other people. And,
Mhm,
I know Marsha's here. She's doing it. I talked about her this morning and how she's giving masks out to the people in her area. She's been giving it to anybody who really needs it. Not
mhm.
really, take it really out. Anybody who gets a hold of her that needs it, she gets them a mask.
And
And
I think
then
I was gonna comment on that because the other day when I went out shopping, a couple of the people in the shopping center that are helping us keep things normal were not wearing a mask, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I should have a couple in the car just to give them away."
mhm, mhm.
And I did tell them, I'm like, "Please do take care of yourself because you're
Yeah.
taking care of us, and
Yes.
I want you to be okay." And he looked at me like, "Are you crazy?" Like, "No, I mean it. I want you to be okay."
I just had the opposite experience when I went into it was the first time I've gone out shopping this week in a long time. And I went to Trader Joe's, which I talked about. It's my favorite store. A lot of us love Trader
I
Joe's.
can see why. Yes.
And they were all wearing masks. They were all very serious about keeping themselves safe as well as the
Okay.
customers safe.
Great.
And I could not say thank you enough to
Yes.
these people who were on the front lines because they are in danger. And
Yeah.
they were just genuinely so appreciative.
I know, and a couple of people in a different store, they actually checked my temperature when I walked in, and I was like, "Thank you." And they offered me the hand sanitizer, and I'm like, and I thanked them. I'm like, "I really appreciate
Yeah,
this." And you
yeah,
could feel their concern of, "I
right,
wanna keep my customers safe."
right,
And that should be our mindset for everything all the time, not just the virus. I wanna keep my customers safe and
right,
happy so that they can keep
right,
coming to buy from me,
right,
if
right.
nothing else,
Right,
right?
right. And that's all very important. I want to give a shout out to another friend of mine in Canada who's also doing the same, Carol Boston. She's been making masks, and she said both Marcia and her said, "I'm going to send you a mask." I was like, "No, I have a mask. I'm okay." They're like, "No, you have to have a mask." Which Carol's like, "Give me your address. I'm sending you a mask." It's just so sweet because I did my thing about just cut the bottom of your leggings off, and it
Yes.
worked so amazing yesterday. So I don't know why they still think I need a mask, but
I
it
think it's a
worked
nice
amazing.
token of appreciation that you'll
It,
have one from what they did. It's one of their badge.
it is. And but the thing for me, it just was so heartwarming to
Yes.
see how they're really stepping up to the occasion. They're very mindful of, what people need. They're going out of their way. And you see this so many different ways
Yes.
of people that are really stepping up and trying to do their best to keep everybody safe and to help everybody through this.
And
And that's
again,
heartwarming.
those kind of things are also part of what keeps us sane
Mm-hmm.
and what keeps us being productive in any
Mm-hmm.
way. It doesn't mean that you have to charge for everything you do, but it means that you feel like you're part of something, that you're
Yeah,
not just sitting at home doing nothing
right,
about it, because
right.
that's a big feeling that I've read by
Mm-hmm.
so many people. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, "But I'm not doing anything." I'm like, "Yeah, but you're doing a lot by not doing anything." First off.
You are. And
Second,
everybody's doing something. Yes. Go ahead.
yes,
Yeah.
but there's another part of the equation. Yes, you need to start thinking about what you're gonna do for the new normal. You
Right.
can start planning. You might not know the exact details of what you want to do because we don't know when things are going to come on the other side, and when
Mm-hmm.
we're going to be able to go out, and we're going to be able to restart many things. I'm not saying going back to normal because there's no normal. There's going
There,
to be a new normal,
there will
and we
be.
should be excited about a new normal.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start envisioning and dreaming and building that new normal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but doing these little things is really a good way to start shaping that future.
Yes, it is. It really is. And I think that's one of the reasons because I feel like what I'm trying to do in my platform is to give back to people. And I understand that there's got to be that ebb and flow to what is actually in need at the time, and why I had to come back and say, okay, I need to reevaluate where am I going and how am I going to tread through this
Sure.
time period that we're going through that's actually a more beneficial format for people to hear that they really need to hear.
Mhm.
Um, but the other thing is, because I'm on this side where I'm the interviewer, people don't really, and I'm coming out more. I mean, I've done this kind of work forever. It's not like I don't do it and I'm embarrassed of it or shy of it or not good at what I do, but I love being the interviewer. But people don't see me as somebody who really can give. And that's why I've been saying more and more, you guys, if you have something that you want to talk about, if you've got a problem you want to go through with this, please do not hesitate to get a hold of me because that is another way that I can give back to you because I am a seamstress. I've done it in my life. I'm probably not going to do it now. I'm not going to go get material. So I'm going to guarantee you I'm not going to be one of those sew masks. I'm going to cut my leggings off so I can have a mask. That's my way of doing it. But I am here to serve people that really need to have an ear to listen to. And I really am sincere about
Mhm.
that. It's my way of giving back. So please reach out if you need to be supported. Don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed. Don't feel like you can't. My door is open. And
And I
I
have to say something, Joanne, because you touched on this, and this is super important, especially because you touched on your own example. This is the time where if you have something to offer, whether it's time to listen to someone or
mhm,
actual gifts and services and talents and skills to share, don't hold them back. A lot of
yeah,
us have been holding back on things because it's not time yet. We're not ready yet. It
yeah,
might not feel good to do it because it's not the
yeah,
perfect time because people
right,
are suffering. No. And now it's the time for you to step into your power, into your skills, into
yeah,
your greatness, into the amazing gifts that you have as a person, whether they're to be a seamstress,
mhm,
to go get the groceries because you're great at riding a bike,
yeah, mhm,
whatever it is,
mhm,
whatever you can bring to what you have around and what you have around everywhere,
yeah,
online,
mhm,
offline, in your
mhm,
neighborhood, in wherever you are, it's the time to offer it. It's the time to say, if someone needs it, I can do it. I'm willing to do it.
yes. And I really have to support you and put an exclamation point on all of those that have been studying and learning and working at something for years and years and years and don't have the confidence to be able to go out and help somebody. This is definitely your time to use the abilities that you have because what do you have to lose at this point in time? You can actually change somebody's life
Mhm.
and make somebody feel a lot better and have the courage to be able to go on by using your talents and your gifts. And we all have them.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is the time to bring them out.
It's the time to bring them out. Don't be shy about it. Don't be don't try to belittle the great, great,
Right.
great, amazing talents that you may have.
Mhm.
Even if you think they're little,
Mhm.
they're gonna grow with practice.
They
so
are.
so it's worth putting them out there.
And
Um,
it's funny you said that because even the biggest gurus all started at nowhere. And
yeah.
you grow. And that's the one thing I've learned is because I was that person too. I spent years of learning all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
And I would go from one thing to the other thing to the other things, which we're not saying is wrong
No.
because through that process, we're learning. But
Mhm.
there is a time to jump off that diving board and go into the ocean or the pool and be who you are because that's where you're going to really start learning and expanding what is really unique and a part of your unique talent. So really don't be shy on
Yeah.
either side. If you need help,
Ask
ask
for it.
for it. If
Yes.
you have something to give, share it. This is
Yes.
the time.
Yes. And I think many people are learning this lesson. I think that's one of the other core things that are jumping out of this situation.
Mhm,
We should be able to ask for what we need,
mhm.
and we should be able to offer help. I know there's a lot of people who have kind of bought into the old mindset of I can do it on my own and I shouldn't be weak and all these things. Those things are gone. We have
Yes,
learned with this little bug that even the strongest can
right.
go down. So it's not about that. It's not about playing it strong or playing it cool or playing it as the wisest person in the room. You can be all those things and be vulnerable. You can be all those things and need help.
Exactly. You
So,
know, even the big mentors still have people that mentor them. I have a mentor that I've had for a long time, and I know my mentor has a mentor that she's had for a long time, and they have mentors. And, we need each other because we learn from each other. We're all working off of each other
yes.
about what things will actually work for us and what things won't. Or maybe I didn't see something. Like I said the other day, I love the hangman in the tarot deck because it's showing you to see things from a different perspective.
Yes.
That's what we do with each other. I have good friends, my buddies, that help me so much to see things from a different angle. And I could not even think of, a day without them.
And teachers and gurus know that they they too can keep learning from their students. So they also need to be able to step back and say,
Yeah,
right now I need to learn. Right now
right.
I'm not the one to be the leader. I
Mhm.
need to step back for a little bit and regroup and watch a little bit of what's going on around me. So
Mhm.
we need to be very, very self-loving and
Yeah,
understanding where we're at the time,
right.
and then part of that self-love is also not to close the closet and hide our talents in there. Part of that self-love is saying this is out on display for the world to see and to use,
Mhm.
right?
Boy, I know that one. I just jumped right out there into being public's eye and the whole view of the world to say, "This is me."
Yes, and that's the thing. That's
Forget.
the thing. So much of that is happening right now
Yeah,
with
it is.
people on social media when we were pushed to
Yes,
go
yes,
using all these tools and sharing all
right,
this knowledge,
right.
which was really, really good for many of us.
Yes,
It's been very intimidating for a lot of others.
yes,
Um, but it is what it is. We have to make the most out of it.
yeah.
And at the same time, remember, we do need a time off of technology as well. We
Mhm.
need to have the silence. We need to go outside if possible, if not just open the window.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
w-
We
what
do.
whatever other thing you can do other than being in front of a screen, I totally and fully recommend it. If you can have a little plant, a little something to take care of, something else that takes you out of your brain and your humanity and reminds you that there's something else out there.
There is, for sure.
Yeah.
And to not be too discouraged that, we're going to have a new normal, but we will have a new normal and that it's going to come. And to really just use this time to the best you can without judgment, without
Yes.
condemnation of self, having self love, and being honest about what it is that you're feeling and what it is, and being able to honestly share it with the people that you really care about. Because we've
Yes.
got the feelings. We were born as a human being with feelings for a reason.
Yes.
Say that we cannot acknowledge certain parts of our feelings is not being genuine to ourselves.
And we need to remember that all of our feelings are really serving a purpose, not just for ourselves and our bodies, but for the human race as a whole.
Mhm.
It is actually healthy for us to be sad for the lives lost
Mhm. It is
because
definitely
we're acknowledging the value that they provided.
right.
It would be sadder if we just said, "Oh, they died. That's okay."
Yeah.
Right? We have to acknowledge the value that each of the people that are leaving the planet right now have brought to it, no
Exactly.
matter how short or long their stay has been. It's
Mhm.
really important that we be there also as a community for the people grieving and those who will need support as things go back to whatever new normal turns out to be, right?
That's another part of this whole adventure that we're going through
Mhm.
that, I don't know that we've really taken the time to really face as a society is being able to support now these so many families. We can't even put a number on it yet throughout
Mhm.
the entire
Mhm.
world
Mhm.
that are suffering with the loss of loved ones that, are victims to this environment, this situation that we're in, and they do need our support.
Yes.
So
And I
if
think it's crucial because we go back to we've talked in social media, right? Where we see the numbers, how many likes,
right.
how many
Mhm,
views, and we get caught up in the numbers. And
mhm,
in this case, it's the same thing, but now with
yeah,
the numbers that we're seeing of
mhm,
people who die or people who
mhm.
recover or people who are infected with the virus. It's not just a number. It's
It's not
actually a life that is being shaped
exactly.
and changed radically for their family and for all the people that are surrounding them right now. It means that that one person needs at least 8 people who are taking care of them,
Yes.
and those 8 people need all of their communities around them to keep them sane and healthy and alive, right? So we need to remember and be very mindful that when we see these numbers, not to go into chaos and say, okay, we're all doomed, but to go into, okay, all these people need to be acknowledged right
Right.
now. All
They
these people need to be held right now.
mhm. And if you know somebody who is going through that, then help them to be able to reach out to whoever is gonna help them to go through that process, because I think that's one of the things I was talking to someone at the beginning of the week about, how angry and disheartened that they were that these are just numbers that are passing through the media
Mhm,
wave,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Just numbers and numbers and numbers of tolls of whatever. We're not
Yes.
gonna go down that road.
Yeah.
That these are actual people. These are not just numbers on a toll, they're
Mhm,
people. And
mhm.
so if you and all of us are gonna know somebody or do know
Yes,
somebody or, I mean, we all know somebody who's suffering in some way, as we've talked about.
yes.
So help them to reach out to them. I think it
Mhm.
really, to me, what hit me is about, because I do live alone and
Mhm.
I'm good with that. Um, I have people that reach out to me and connect with me. I'm actually very happy to be alone. I have my plants.
Yeah,
Forever, I didn't have my cat,
it
but
makes a huge difference.
it does, because you don't have that contact. But I have so many wonderful people that keep in contact with me,
Mhm.
and I'm in constant contact with them, and that makes a big difference. So if you know people that are shut-ins, if you know people that aren't able to get out, or can't don't have access to media, or don't have
Yes.
access to the internet, we need to be looking for those people and being able to
Yes.
help them and help pull them out to bring them whatever the needs are that they have in a way
Yes.
that
In whatever way is good to you and within your conditions, right? Because
yeah,
there's a lot of people who can't be the one reaching out, but you can
exactly.
be the one reaching out on the phone and giving
Yeah,
a quick
on the
call
phone.
to check on people.
Yeah.
But if you can, if you're one of the healthier that can take the time to reach out to the elderly to take care of them, to just be okay and taking their groceries to their front
Mhm.
door
Yep.
and see a familiar face who's
Mhm.
smiling at them, I think that's a big
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And we do have to say that for those of us who have a chance to be safely going out, again, I want to super emphasize safely because we don't need to be all
Definitely.
out there. If we have a chance to really reach out to people that we know need
Right,
us, that would be great. That would be wonderful
right.
because we do need to be the helping hand right now.
Yeah, we do. Well, I want to thank you for being here. I know all you guys, Susan, Marcia, Ginger Betty, all you guys that I missed, for being here. I don't usually acknowledge you while I'm talking to a guest because we're usually in a conversation and I don't want to interrupt. It is what it is.
That
But,
too.
if you guys have any questions, or if you have anything that you would like help with, please reach out, put it in the chat. Even after this, put it in the chat, because that's what we're here for. And
Yes.
one of my biggest heart's desire right now is to do what is in best alignment, that's going to best serve the need of humanity. It's not about right now how to get ahead, how, like you were saying, I was thinking that the other day, how you're going on YouTube or Facebook and you check your numbers and your stats and your analytics and how is this going, and it's, you get so caught up into that
Yes.
that you're forgetting what is the purpose to being here. And the purpose to being here, I got at the beginning of this week, because I think we got to a point where it's like the newness is worn off.
Yes.
We're all realizing that we're not really gaining positive ground yet. This is getting to be really overwhelming.
Mhm.
And how do we make a difference? So for me, it's to serve you guys, the people. And I know that Anna is the most amazing person in that as
Thank
well.
you.
And so,
Yes.
in whatever way that we can do that, that's what we're here to do.
Yes, I think it's the time. We've said it before, right? It's the
Mm.
time to step up and say, "This is what I have to offer." So
Right,
that is really it. Whatever
right.
you have to offer. In my case, I know it is on my private side to be the
Mhm,
ear, to be the one listening to things, to be the one reaching out to people to check how they're doing. But
mm,
again, if you need help with tech stuff, reach out. No question is so silly or so basic that it shouldn't be asked. If you
mhm,
don't know if you're overdoing it with your social media time,
mhm,
with your screen time, if you need to know what it means to be overwhelmed with screen
mhm,
time, because if
mhm.
you're feeling depressed and stressed, it's
Ex-
probably connected to that. I can tell you that. That's a basic thing.
Absolutely tell you. I mean, when you're starting to feel overwhelmed and like you can't take anymore, and
That's usually
the
connected
world
to
feels
screen
bad.
time and devices and technology and apps. It usually has something to do with it. So
Yeah,
do acknowledge that we are all in the same boat, and if you need help, just reach out. If we can't help you ourselves, we probably know someone who can.
exactly.
So there's always a good networking
Mhm, mhm,
base to reach out and to offer
exactly.
help as well.
I wanted to mention I have been talking about this, and Anna has been helping me with this, and we're ready to go to public now on Mighty Network with Reach the Unlimited, which is going to be one of the ways that I want to serve back. Marcia Johnson, who is here with us on this call, she's going to be a mentor in this group as well. There's a couple other people that will be as well. We're all going to be there to be able to help you. So if you go to the Mighty Network and look, Reach the Unlimited up, we have things pretty much set, but there's a few more things that we're going to be getting going in there. We're going to be doing all kinds of classes, all kinds of community. It's our community center of being able to get together and help each other and support each other. There is no charge at this point to that. It's going to be a place for everybody to come and hang out and develop a community there where you can all interact with each other, get to know each other, ask questions. We'll be doing classes in there. We'll be doing calls in there. We'll be doing so many different things. So look that up. I'll put that in somewhere.
Nice. Yes.
wherever makes sense. And I just so want to honor and thank you, Anna, for being here, because my desire was to help people. And I hope that this was helpful. I know for me, hearing you and the balance that you have was very helpful.
Thank you so much. And again, if you can reach out to people, allow them to be vulnerable, allow them to feel however they're feeling. Don't try to bring them back to up and happy in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And give yourself time to do it as well. If
Yeah.
you're feeling super overwhelmed, just mark like set an alarm clock for it. And every day take 10 minutes to just feel all you need to feel, and then go back to whatever you need to regroup. But give yourself a time. It's needed. And we need to feel the sadness. We need to feel the anger. We need to feel the frustration. Don't disregard it. It has a purpose. Even if we don't know what it is right now, there is a purpose for it. So be mindful of that and allow others to be vulnerable. It's a great opportunity right now to go back to that.
It's important that you said that, because one of the things that I've really learned through my experience is that a lot of times when we're helping people like that, or if we're just being the safe place for people, we feel like we have to make them better.
Yes.
And we don't have to make anybody better. So all you need to do is be the safe place and nothing more.
Yes.
You don't have to solve their problem. You don't have to make everything better for them. You're just a safe place for them to be able to use you as a sounding board. And that's all you need to do. You don't even need to take on what it is that somebody else is going through.
No, and that's super important, because we don't want to be carrying stuff that it's not ours. But it's good to get it out, to allow people to say it and voice it out, because sometimes that's all it takes, really. Yes, to hold the space, for sure. That's really what it is.
And if you, like for me, I needed to take pretty much this week. Thankfully, my guests all were feeling the same way I was, and they needed to take time off. So it worked out really well that I could do that. But, take the time that you need. Don't feel like, oh, hey, I have to. And I'm not saying that this was wrong, because some people only need 10 minutes. But if you need to take a day, or
you need to take a day or a week,
you just need to take the time to be able to rejuvenate and to be able to be grounded. Because when you do that, you're going to put your mind back in center. You're going to put your focus back in where you need to go. And then you're going to be more clear how to keep going in your path. If you keep forging ahead and trying to force things to happen, or understandings to happen, or to feel better, then you're only going to put yourself into a deeper and a deeper and a deeper hole. So take that time to give yourself whatever time you need to be able to come back to your center and to your peace. And however long that takes, know that it's okay to take that time. I know it doesn't seem likely or maybe possible at some points, especially, people that may have children. I mean, we talked about people alone, but there's mothers who are taking care of the whole world.
Yes. And they're working, and they're doing homeschooling, and they're babysitting, and they're doing everything at the same time. So for you, ladies and gentlemen who are in that role, we're holding as much space as we can for you. We hope you have the patience for it. If you have a partner that can have 5 minutes of craziness while you have 5 minutes of peace, do it.
Ask for help.
Yeah, but we're holding as much space as we can for you, and know that we're wishing as much patience for you as we can.
But again, you reach out. Don't be afraid. I'm here. Just message me, email me, however you want to get a hold of me. I am available to help you through this process. So we're going to just all get through this together. We're going to fumble through the good and the bad and the ugly, I think, over the next probably months. But I am so honored to have you here. Thank you
Thank you
very
so much, Joanne. It's great to talk to you, and it's great to reach out to your people.
Yes.
You
And
have an amazing community going on, and really, ladies, all the work, all the little and big things that you're doing.
mhm,
Thank you, because
mhm.
we're all there. And whenever you need to take a break, just know that everyone else is holding the fort.
Yeah,
You can take a break. There's a lot of us working, so don't you worry. It's not all you.
exactly. And I want to thank all of you for being here, all of your positive responses. Just you guys are a wonderful group. I just love all of you. Thank you for all of your support. So look up Mighty Network, Reach the Unlimited on Mighty Network, and I'll see you on the next video. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.